I forgot. This should have been the late night read for confirmation prediction for the rest of the day, considering we don't know how this is going to flow. So we're going to flow with the energy. There's a tower moment that's about to occur. Someone could be realizing at the same time about a situation that could be occurring. Someone could be feeling like they could have a time machine for something that they did, especially when it comes to some type of money that they took last August. Somebody could have got last year. Somebody was trying to play blind to some shit that they did, and it was like, damn. Now somebody sitting there to my, singing that song. Man, I wish we never did it. When I don't know what to say. Somebody gonna literally be trying to somebody could literally be trying to keep from judgment or something, or trying to keep from being put away for, because somebody, it's a situation where somebody was really hoping that they could have got you institutionalized, because an infirmary is institutionalized, but it could also be that, like, if somebody was planning on getting locked up, right? That's like somebody hoping that they could have go to the hole or something like that, because it's something that somebody fucking did, and they just like, damn, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get out of this one. Also, this could have been something that could have happened like 8 years ago. Let me see. 2017, 2018. Someone was hoping that they could have played this psychological game. So for somebody, your whole family like literally came together with like an ex-spouse, even the relatives that you probably didn't even feel like you was talking to for a long ass time. They literally been collaborating for a long ass time. They could have did this, collaborated around August 2017 to carry this through. 2017, 2018. Also, somebody you was meant to get something when you was like 8 years old, 23 and 28. Somebody at that time, I feel like somebody at that time, or they could have been like 52 years old or something like that. Or somebody could have left you something. Like where something was like 52, now it's like down to like in its 20s. So it's like over this, let's say you was left like 52 million or something like that. And it's like they could have like got some, I feel like somebody could be literally trying to figure out how they gonna get something put back. Like somebody had to come up with like $24,000, 24 million or something like that. Cause this is like if they were trying to do something medically, physically, or mentally, it just they could forget that. Somebody could have also tried to like restrict you based off of religious, like somebody did not want you to heal. They didn't expect it. Like if you did try to get help or something like that, they didn't expect for you to heal. Like somebody literally did not expect for your ass to fucking heal. Like whoever these relatives or these folks was, they was like, it was like you versus them type shit. And then it was like for them, it was like, well shit, she choosing her. We fit to go ahead and do everything that they can do in their fucking power. Like for somebody like, say, depending on your nationality or some shit like that, they was trying to get everybody that they could possibly think of that they could entice you to that, where they can have control over that person. This is like somebody feeling like, oh, okay, well, we know they'll probably like this person and stop fucking with them, so we can keep the money over here with this. This is like, I'm disgusted with whoever these fucking people are. That it's just like, but it's like, don't allow it to consume you, because it's just like, just be aware that it's there. But these were like people, like, at the same time, if you had situations going on at the same time, it's like, don't ignore anything that could have been in the current present time, but still in the current present time, these are the same fucking people that's just, they, for somebody, it was just like, when you did, because I want to say, I put myself 2018, so that would put me at what, 7-8 years ago. So they was hoping that when you did go 7-8 years ago, that you would have stayed in the same state, mindset, that they would be able to control you. For somebody, I don't know if they felt that whatever it was that you was dealing with at that time, they felt that they had their grips on your ass so fucking hard that they could utilize, oh, it's family, like guilt trip you, victim trip you, use religion, Bible and shit like that. And I feel like for you, you was just really just trying to like strategically come up, or just like, I feel like either mentally, psychologically, or emotionally or something like that, you was just trying to process everything. But it was like, as you processing, you was just trying to come up with a fucking plan, like, how the fuck I'm gonna get out of this shit, get the fuck away from everybody. Because it's like, for me personally, honestly, it was just like, if I had to go back to like 2016, I'm gonna say, even from when I met that motherfucker, it was literally strategically me coming up with a fucking logical, precise plan to get the fuck away from the motherfuckers. It wasn't about any of that thing, because it was like, I feel like where they got it misconstrued, where they thought like, oh yeah, she just stayed with him, she loved him. It's like, yeah, I love him. You know, like how you could just play along with some stuff fucking shit, you know what I'm saying? Because they was really like thinking I was like up that boy ass. And it was like, nah, I was doing my best to make it work. Didn't mean that I wanted that motherfucker, because trust and believe me, it was plenty of motherfucking conversations that I was having on trying to figure out how to get fucking away from that motherfucker. Like, I did not like him. I tolerated the fuck out of his ass. And it was like, they try to make it seem like, oh, she needed him. It was like, yeah, Zaddy. Like, I would literally, it's like, you ever have to be around a fucking person and you know that they so fucking insecure, so you have to do everything in your fucking possible power just to avoid the motherfucker from having an emotional breakdown. Not only a fucking emotional breakdown, you gotta do every fucking thing in your power just to make sure that, like, for me, when it came to my ex-husband, that motherfucker was like, he wanted to be the girl so fucking bad. But it was like, the worst part of the situation was, he would have when he had his lows, it was a fucking low. But when he was at that low, it was like dealing with like a fucking female on her fucking period. So it was just like, okay, should I wear it? And it would literally go, should I cut my hair? Should I put this in here? And it's like, yeah. And then like at that point, I was like already so fucking turned off. But it was like, you know how you just get trapped in the situation and the kids just keep fucking coming in that situation? It's just like, fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was already knowing I was fucked in this situation, but it was like, I really don't want to be with this motherfucker. And it was like, so many times, it was like, I really don't fucking like you, but it'd be like, come on, Sharita, we can do this. But it was already getting to a point where I could look at the nigga, it was like, you don't want to work, you lazy, you don't help with the fucking kids, you don't want to be here, you cheat, you lie all the fucking time. Like, and it's like, the motherfucker was like, he couldn't defend me, he couldn't protect, he didn't provide. So it was just like, it was like literally a waste of time. So it would be always his fucking mama coming, trying to play Captain Sevenhole. And it was like, bitch, you just as worse as him, because you codependent on him whenever your money didn't hit the bank account. And her money was getting, garnished. Because some fuck shit she was doing, so her checks would get garnished. So if she didn't move her money from the bank account in time, Regina's money would get garnished. But I never really, like, started digging to figure out why her money got garnished. But anytime that she was coming to see us in Colorado, I was the one flying her ass out. And she would make it believe to her fucking family, because you got to understand, when people try to make conversations when you're not in the room, they will make it seem like it's something that it fucking was not. So when it will be time for him to go like to Texas, it's like, well, shit, we can all can go to Texas together, or we can all go, to Virginia and go see your family. Oh, well, I'll just take baby James. I'll just take. It's like, motherfucker, we all can motherfucking go. And you're like, what the fuck? But then when I had just realized like the nigga was lazy, and then it was like he would have this fetish, like especially when I would get back in shape after I had the kids, he would get irritated because people would pay attention. And then it will be after you pay attention, he would, like I'll be in shape. He'd be like, "Damn, you look good." Like he will hype it up. Now all of a sudden he had a drive. But the thing of it was how I knew something was off with him before I was like pinpointing like this nigga gay. It was the simple fact like he will always want to dress me up like, "Oh, Sweet, I think you'll look good in this type of outfit," or "I think you'll look good in this type of dress." And I didn't have no problem with it because shit, it would actually fit my body just right. It'll look just not like he was just like enamored with my motherfucking body. He'd be like, "Yeah, I like how her booty look like this," and it would be like to the precision. But I didn't ever fucking trip on it. It was like shit. But half the time, guess who money was being spent? It was my money. And his mom would be like, "Well, before he got with you, he had a job." Regina, that boy did not ever keep a job longer than fucking 21 days. That shit had turned me off. Like when we first got married and I didn't know anything about an annulment, I was just like, "Oh, I gotta leave this motherfucker." He threw a fucking fit one day, like, I need my stuff. And it is like, temper, okay. But then it would be like when he had an attitude and he was low on funds, his mama would catch a fucking attitude. And I remember one day she was only when we stayed at, I want to say, was it 2022 Whitfield out there off of Rossview. She was only paying fucking $500 for her rent. I was like, "But you only paid $500? How the fuck you swing that?" Bro, when I come to fucking find out, she get mad at James because James was paying for it and we get married or whatever. So she was thinking at that time, like when we first got married, and I didn't believe in like giving no man no motherfucking money like that. And she'd be like, "Oh, can you do this? Can you do me a favor?" I didn't want James to know because I think James had already had told her, like, "No, I'm not fit to ask her about that." You know what I'm saying? Like, egg such and such or whatever. And instead, I was just like, "You know what? Fuck you. Me and the kids is over here. She helping me with my kids or whatever. Why not?" But then it turned from that. Then the car get repoed. Then I started to realize it was a fucking pattern between them because it was like if she couldn't be dependent on James, she'll start trying to like guilt trip or blackmail baby her sister. That was the only sister that she can do that to. Now the other two or other three sisters, she couldn't do that shit. She couldn't do that to her brothers and stuff like that. And then it was just like that type of shit was like really pissing me off. So it would be like she'll try to put on this facade like it was everything it was not. It was time for like they had a family reunion. This is when she pulled that shit where he was trying to play like I was just the mother of the kids and we wasn't fucking married because he was trying to keep me in the fucking backyard and all this other bullshit was going on. I was like, at that fucking moment, that's when I knew. I was like, "Bro, I gotta get the fuck away from him." And then it would just be like kind of he'll say every time it like after I had Soraya, then I had Nina, then right before I got pregnant with baby James, I was like literally getting back in shape because I didn't believe in like being out of shape because my kids were always busy. So you got to be in shape to keep up with them motherfuckers because my kids was not like the simpletons, okay? They like to be energetic. They like to go play. And mommy was the playground, so I knew I needed the energy. But it just got to one point where it was just like, it would be time for the rent to be paid. And I remember it was him and Jasmine staying in my house. His sister comes to the house. We sitting there. The lights is getting cut off. Mind you, I had already left him with the money to pay for shit. So I don't even know why the fuck I'm talking about this, but clearly it needs to be spoke about. Anyways, this is how I knew it was just like something was sus, but not only just sus, the motherfucker wasn't about shit. And it was like he would portray to other fucking people as if I was the lazy one. I didn't want anything. I was only after him and his family for money or whatever because his family, like some of his family relatives did have money or whatever. But anytime we got into a fucking bind, it was me getting us out of that shit. Like I'm talking about the hustle and grind would be so fucking crucial and serious. It was literally me getting us out of it. So it got to a point where I would literally ask him, like, hey, why don't you ask your family? Because we are really in a bond. I'm like, okay, well, Jasmine's here. She working. Like, y'all can't come up with no money. With all three of us in this house, can't nobody come up with no money to help pay for the fucking bill or light bill, water, let alone fucking groceries. So he would literally find himself trying to always be something that he fucking was not. And it was always me having to figure out the light bill. I'm not only that, I'm paying the rent, I'm paying all the utilities plus he ends up going to get that fucking Challenger, Charger, whatever fucking car. I'm paying his car and the motherfucking insurance. It's like, nigga, what are you doing? We get to Colorado. Colorado is the only state that I've ever known of that actually compensate the parents, meaning the mom or dad or whoever is able to get paid from the state to care for your special needs child. So Marcus, all his cares was having to be at home because it would be time where in the winter in Colorado, the snow will be like crucial. And you know, sometimes you can drive, and other times I learned my lesson. That one time I spent off, I was like, hell no. So they will send like home health care aides to your home, and all his cares could be there. Like I could get OT, PT, speech. All his therapies could have got done at home. Only time that I would have to worry about leaving the house is when he had to go to like his specialty appointments. But other than that, like his cares that need to be done, I could get that done, and I could also still get him a nurse whether I needed it during the day or at night. He would get money at that time. But then I had realized it's like he not taking the money to save it. He ain't taking the money to pay for his car note. No, nothing. But then it was just like when we got there, I got orders from Fort Campbell to Fort Carson 2015. So around I got pregnant with baby James 2016. So when I got pregnant with him and I was still stay in shape, he'll go, oh, let me feed you or whatever, like try to like force me to get overweight. And I had a pattern in how I would eat during my pregnancies. And then it was just like, I remember just that one time, that's when I knew he was cheating. It was just like, damn, where is this odor coming from? That's when I had figured out, I was like, this motherfucker out here in these streets. He'd be like, oh, we're going back to school. And it was like, he would make it a competition where we'll go both in college at the same time, where I got an A in this class and your grade A doesn't match my grade A. That point I was just like, oh, this nigga got to fucking go. And then it was like he pulled some stupid shit one time. I want to say it was my oldest was crying about something, and he did the reactive abuse type shit where my daughter's crying. I was like, James, you cannot record that. Oh, I think this is funny. I'm like, bro, and I remember telling his mom, I was like, Regina, you really need to talk to your son. So when anytime we would get to a point where I'm checking, well, you know, he had a job before he got married to you. You know, he had a, bitch, it ain't about no motherfucking job before he got married. And that was y'all agreement. No, the agreement was while I finish out my military contract, he gonna make sure that the kids are good, but he can still work either in early, like when I'm off of work and on my days, we can work around the schedule. I'm 1,000% sure that any job, and especially with him getting the CNA license, he will be able to work around my schedule. And I'm pretty sure any place, and considering that we was on a military base, they will be willing to work around my schedule. And then also with my goal, I was willing to go ahead, even though with me being in the military and me getting that CNA and I seen how much money I could get, I was like, shit, this is a come up. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, if you do this and I got this, we can go ahead and create the money and go ahead and build this. And then it was like, all right, well, with you, you know, us coming up with the money from in between my military paycheck and then doing the CNA, I was like, boom, well, you can go ahead and take the real estate course. After you finish taking the real estate course, I'll go, you know, after it's time for my contract to end with the Army, I'll keep, you know, whatever the reserves on the side, and then I'll go ahead and keep up with the CNA. I'll work with that. You get the real estate going. I'll figure out how I can get my real estate going. And then boom, you know what I'm saying? Like it was a plan. This motherfucker wasn't following the plan. So it was just one day, like after the fact, when he gave like some crazy ass shit. Someone was like the phone, the babies. I want to say it was I think it was Nina playing with the phone. The phone showed every fucking thing. When I say that motherfucker was fucking everything from the Air Force Base all the way to motherfucking Canyon Oak, all the way back to fucking Clarksville, all the way to every time that motherfucker could leave out of my motherfucker's life. He was on any and everything. But the one key detail that I didn't pay attention to, it was basically his ass cross-dressing and he had sugar daddies. I was like, what the fuck? When I figured that out, that's when, I want to say that was around 2017. And it was like him and his mama. His mama knew that he was doing this shit. And I was just like, okay. And I remember confronting him. I was like, look, if it's something you got going on, I don't really give a shit about that, but we got the kids. But the thing of it is, I was like, if you running some type of shit, include me in it before you do some dumb shit that's going to end up getting your ass locked the fuck up. What you talking about? And then it was like, after that, he was like, well, regardless of what's going on, you know me. If anything going on, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to just lie. I'm like, you right about that. Then right after he turned around and said it, he was like, how much is your life insurance policies on either end? You know what I'm saying? Do you got me on it? And then at that moment when he kept asking me about it, that's when I took his ass off of it. And then 2018, before my reserve contract ended with the Army Reserve, my mom, my grandma, and then his mama and them was all at the house. They kept asking me something. I remember like it was like right before I got ready to come back home. And I remember they asked me something and my suspicion went up. And right there when I was at the clinic, I was like, I'm gonna take everybody off the fucking policy. And I did. But I was gonna replace the policy with my, at that time, quote unquote, best friend with Veronica. But then when I had caught on to Veronica around 2019, 2020, I had took her ass off of it. So while they were sitting there doing all this shit, it was just like, I knew some shit was up. 2021, when after my son passed on, that's when I knew. I was like, these motherfuckers was trying to set me up from the get-go. But I was like, for me to be sure, in 2020, I was like, let me give them the medical record, my VA medical record, and let me see what they was going to do. And they did exactly what I thought they was going to do, because like I said, on the VA app, which it wasn't too advanced at that time, it kind of like updated itself around 2023. And I could see on there that it was a conversation where, you know, where you file your paperwork. It says something about beneficiary something. That's when I knew that they was doing some shit around 2022, 2023. And when they did that shit, I was just like, at that point, I was like, oh, okay, game recognized game. But then at the same time, I had to, you know, figure out what all parties they had involved. And it was like, okay, well, with Sharita doing all this, they thinking I'm still distracted off of it. I found out, like, with the person Veronica kept bringing up to me, where she was like, yeah, because, you know, she was like, I don't know how my job keep this man on this job, and they know he got a drug problem, and da-da-da-da, but she will only just keep talking about this person all the time. All the time. And when she kept talking about it, I was like, And I remember when she was like, yeah, we got this study where we can pay y'all about 75 or whatever dollars whenever you come do the COVID testing or whatever. And I was like, cool. So when we went, I remember telling old buddy, you know, hey, put your people on or whatever. But from there, it was, I want to say either that evening or a few days later, it was something that went on. But it ended up allowing me to know, like, okay, yeah. I was like, Veronica looking for an end to go ahead and use this nigga to go ahead and do, you know, some other kind of run. And when I figured that shit out, I was like, look, I just need this motherfucker to stay around long enough. Let me pay for our trip to go ahead and go to Puerto Rico or whatever. And then when I paid for the trip for us to get over there, I was like, I just need to get over there because I just wanted to get the fuck away, because I didn't know how, you know, if they was going to try to do me in there or what. But after all that shit happened, I was just like, these are motherfuckers like, this motherfucker knew the whole time. It's like, it wasn't nothing to fucking figure out about how they was going to do it. And it was just like, once I fucking figured that out, I was like, all right, well, that just means that they're going to add. Because when she would always play like, oh, yeah, well, I have, you know, my friend Gregory. And then when Regina would talk about her connections to the military, because it was like, why would she always want to bring up the people she knew from the military? And then when I was coming back, that's when Sheila was talking about it. And then Veronica started bragging about it. So I was like, okay, well, now they bringing in military motherfuckers. And then when they would start doing that, I remember she kept talking about, what's her name? K. Michelle. The music artist K. Michelle. So I was like, okay, well, with Veronica, I knew she had, you know, that access, you know, to those people. And then I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, it's gonna be some people for the music industry because it's not like my life ain't ever been surrounded by not being around, not being around them, but it was like having them in proximity of being connected to these people. So it was just like, I already know how this gonna go. But then like for the like police, sheriff, and shit like that, the church and stuff like that, that would have been left to like Carla and them. But then it was just like, Sharita, well, I remember when Rita would be calling me and shit like that, it was like, okay, well, pay attention to Aunt Rita. And when I had to pay attention to her, I paid attention to how she was running into some shit and how she would keep me on the phone, but it would be like people she would bring up all the time. And someone was like, I remember one day she was talking to me, I was like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, well, why don't you go look what Johnny got going on? Because I remember I was like, why is it that Johnny don't talk to me? And she was like, well, Johnny said he ain't gonna talk to you because you ain't respecting Patrick or whatever. I was like, well, anybody know Patrick is a motherfucking lie. That all that nigga do is lie. That's why I don't fucking deal with him. And then it was just like, after that, when I was like, I remember asking, and she'll bring up everything about G, Caleb, and Lahana. And then it'll be like Freeman. And then it's like, I remember she only, like, when somebody passed on, you know what I'm saying? You're going to talk about stories, you're going to tell them on and all this other stuff. And it was just like, well, Freeman passed. It's like, oh, okay. And I just haven't had to just take it as like, okay, what y'all telling me for. It ain't like, I ain't seen Freeman since I had left Oklahoma. And, even then, when I would try to talk to him, he'd act like he didn't know me or whatever. He'll act all stuck up and shit like that. So it's just like, why would I care about some motherfuckers that don't really care about me? I can't be, compassionate about people that, I don't really have in close contact. But it was just like, when it came to certain things, like when it came to my Uncle Johnny, you know what I'm saying? I used to always admire him. But then it got to a point where it's just like, well, shit, if he don't care, I can't care about a motherfucker who don't clearly show that he don't care about me because he concerned about me having some type of, like, I need to have a relationship with a motherfucker that clearly ain't got no own fucking relationship with himself and unaliving his own motherfucking wives and every person that don't give him his way. Cause I remember I had to check that nigga like, bro, you weird. Like, I don't give a fuck about that. You came from a, like, bro, why you gotta like be suggestive about your shit? And it's like, and then I remember her like they're asking why you don't want to be with a black dude. Rita always want to be with some Spanish boy. She always want. And if I fucking do, that's what the fuck I choose. But either you gonna support it or you gonna shut the fuck up about it. And then when it just came to that point, that's when I knew it was like they trying to look for a leeway to just like, if I did get with that person, they knew that they wouldn't have had no control over them, how they wanted to have the control and how they would want to run like money and shit like that. So it was just like, these are motherfuckers like, how you know that it's like, motherfucker, I've been new. It's like, you ain't gonna be able to maneuver some shit and nobody not know what you're doing. Unless you just choosing not to fucking really fucking pay attention. So it was just like, the only key detail was like, well, why would I really, because I'm not a K Michelle fan. I don't think I ever been. But it's just like, with the music or whatever, and I remember it was like, okay, well, why would I be picking up on all this stuff? Because it's like, I don't really pay attention. But then it was like, well, we did have connections with that shit since early 2000s and shit like that, where they would get the, excuse me, those NDAs and shit like that. I knew, you know what I'm saying? I knew that they would get that. Ooh, sure. Scalp position. When you get the hair, go ahead and get back in order. So it was just like when they brought that last joke in, the last two, and they thought they had it in the bag, it's like, nah. Every time I be thinking about giving, those type of men chances, it's like they do something every fucking time to be like, I see why I like what I like. But it's just like, just trying to find, I like what I like, but then it's just like, why I'm not able to get the one. So it's just like, this allowed me to just stay in that state because it's like, I wish I just stayed how I was as, a teenager. I didn't really care. Tuck your heart in, keep the feelings, keep the emotions to yourself. But it will be something that I always would tell anybody that I dealt with up front. Like, I'm not here for your feelings nor your emotions. And then it's like, when I do care, I already, I learned a long time ago. As soon as you do care, that's when the motherfucker just show their ass. And it's just like, but this, in this situation, everything across the board, all that was it was money. It's just money. Nothing more, nothing less. That's why I was like, I'm not tripping. That's why when, it's like I could see the energy clearly, but it's like, oh well, we need to, I ain't marrying nobody that feel like they fit to come my way at all. I'm not for the base my shit. I'd rather be sitting here working like a motherfucking dog than sit here to try to feel like I gotta be married to somebody just to get the money and because they got the money and then you could come up. Hell no, I'll be damned. That's something that I'm vowing to, like, even now, because I get tired of anytime that I was in a relationship or always dealing with someone and it was like I had already a fucking inkling that I was like, this motherfucker seemed like he got money, but it's just like they trying to pretend like they don't have fucking money, and that shit pisses me off because it's like the whole time I'm here, was I asking you for something? No. Did I make you do anything? Like, no. If it was something I felt I wanted to do, I feel like I should front that bill. But then it was like, at the same time, these will be motherfuckers that take that shit to the fucking max. And it's like, I thought you said I could do this to her. She ain't gonna, like, motherfucker, that shit ain't even about that. Like, please move the fuck around. And then it's like the annoyance of that situation is like, you want somebody to be codependent on you, but how the fuck you want somebody to be codependent on you and you're not even showing nobody at that same time that you are useful, like a consistent person to be codependent on? Like, this is where the energy just really be fucking throwing me off, because it's like you want somebody to be like submissive and codependent, but what grounds are you giving me or even showing me that I should be codependent on you? That should be blowing me. Like, what the fuck have you done for me to even feel like I can be dependent on you? And these be people that are beyond undependable. It's like, well, I did show you that I was dependent. No, the fuck you didn't. You showed me that you know how to manipulate a motherfucking lie and be really, slick with whatever type of stuff you was trying to steal and take back to the next motherfucker, but you sure didn't give me no reason, let alone any ground to be fucking dependent. That's why, like, any person that I ever been involved with, these would be fucking people. Is like, how do you expect me to submit to any type of system? What system, what have you given me? Whether it's politically, scientifically, medically, or anything that says, hey, be dependent on the system. Nothing. If anything, it's like, you got to think for yourself. You got to be able to stand up for yourself. You can't fall into the trap, because like everything right now is just going to seem like a trap. Period. Some people won't see it like that, but I clearly see it like that. Every time that I got to go figure it out, every time that I gotta feel like I gotta fucking beg, like, to me, it's like in my situation, always making it seem like I gotta fucking beg for it. Like, get the fuck out of here. I'll be damned if I gotta beg for it. I'm gonna figure it out of how I can get it done. And if it get done, it get done. If it's gonna take a lot longer, it's just gonna take a fucking lot longer. But to go back around and try to be friends with people and try to clear something up, if it was a misunderstanding, I can clear shit up. Ain't nothing for me to fucking clear up, especially after I didn't, like, clearly made it clear, like, hey, this is what happened, this is what it is. And these will be just fucking people. People just make shit just like fake. So I'm not fit to just keep trying to figure out, like, oh, let me figure something out. It'd be the same old tune. This is like people like, how you know about how we was doing this? This would be people like, if you ain't talking to them, I'm gonna go get a tarot reading just to see how they feel. Let me see if it's hot or cold. That's how, like, they be like, how you know? Because you in somebody's energy. Every time you go get a tarot reading, trying to pretend like you that person, you giving them full access to read your ass to a motherfucking field. If it's somebody you hunching on and you felt it was funny to pillow talk to them, now you pillow talking to the wrong motherfucker. Now we reading them, you, them, and everybody you connected to. And now it's like, what you mean? No, every time that you sit there, involve other people to gang stalk, abuse, take advantage of the situation, all you doing is giving that person, or, you know what I'm saying, if they really are in pure, genuine energy, you're just giving them full access to read you to fucking filth. That's it. And in this situation, it's just All they doing is allowing me, whether they bring the evidence or proof to me. I'm pretty sure the people that do gotta watch it and try to see it, is she gonna figure it out? Because that's kind of fucked up. Just to sit back to see if she gonna figure it out type shit. That's pretty fucked up to me. Instead of just, let me just get this shit to this girl, already. Like, we should have been did this shit. And instead of them saying that we should have just been did this is motherfuckers like, we're just gonna watch and see. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. It's like ain't nobody doing nothing for nobody, but sitting here acting like this, and it's like same people that they're cool that way. These be people crazy. Let me see to get us some other energy, because I was like, why did that really have to start out like that? Ooh, Jesus. Scalp itching.